What's the trashiest thing you've seen in public? NSFW. I was in Spain as a kid. 25 years ago. We were in the countryside and enjoying the view with binoculars. Saw a man we think was a shepherd who took a rit. Wiped his ass by digging it out with his hand. Took out his tea. Started pissing. Then proceeded to wash his hands in the jet of piss. Did it all like he had done it a million times before. Which he probably had. I was 9 years old at the time, can never unsee. At a buffet. A woman peeling the crispy skin off of a whole tray of fried chicken and piling it on her plate. She walked off leaving a pile of stripped chicken and ate her plate full of skin. At least we can all take some solace in the knowledge that she is now dead from coronary artery disease. I was at a fireworks show at the beach this past 4th of July. There is a couple where the chick is clearly half the guy's age, like it could have been his daughter. They are all over each other to the point where it's noticeable to everyone around them. My friends and I are chuckling at them and whatnot, but then the fireworks start and we all focus on that. I look back and the girl is giving the guy a hand job under their blanket. The blanket is visibly flapping up and down. Meanwhile there are families and kids running around. No shame whatsoever. Most recently, the woman in a parked car next to mine. There was a crying baby and screaming toddler in the backseat. She was smoking a cigarette while texting and completely ignoring her babies who were breathing the smoke-filled air, strapped to their car seats. Trashiest thing? Probably Chinese tourists. I drive all over the central coast of California, so you have a lot of natural beauty, wine country, etc. They roll up in massive buses and just destroy places. They are typically extremely rude and trample on landscape. The trashy part? They openly piss outside of businesses. Or toss their garbage on the ground. Full stop. I watched a morbidly obese woman in a wife beater, no bra, and booty shorts open a packet of wet bathroom wipes. Remove one. Dig down into her shorts to wipe her ass crack. And put the container and used it stained wipe back on the shelf. Just standing in the aisle wiping her ass like it's no big deal. This of course happened at Walmart. On a less disgusting note, I was getting my car service last year and a young mom, probably around my age, honestly, had her infant with her. My jaw dropped as she put Diet Mountain Dew into a baby bottle and prop it up in the baby's mouth while she went to smoke a cigarette. This baby couldn't have been more than 3 months. It's amazing the clueless parents will do to their kids. Edit, I'm 26. I'm also idiot who doesn't mention that in original post lol. Didn't see it happen directly, but I used to work as a lifeguard at a water park, and at the end of the day while cleaning the top of the slide tower I saw a used tampon just thrown on the ground in the area people would be waiting in line for the slides. I worked a admissions gate at a local fair this year. Some guy is walking out with his wife and probably 2-year-old daughter. He has a shirt on with an arrow pointing to his wife on his left and it says, "I only keep her around for the blowjobs." 2 women smoking pot outside a public library right above their toddlers. They were literally standing over their kids in the strollers and ash was falling on the kids' heads. They were talking about going out for drinks later too. Also, like 2 days later I saw a stroller with I think one of those same kids in it sitting unattended outside a bar. It was October and it was 12 in the afternoon. Sat at a cafe in London and a mother, her teenage daughter and 2 babies walked past. Should have been fine. But the babies were sat in Sainsbury's shopping baskets. The ones you pull along the floor. I was so shocked. The kids were crying and the mum and older sister, could have even been their mum, who knows, would just shout at them. In the UK if you are really poor, then you get a load of money from the government to buy baby essentials, such as a pram. You know those leashes parents use for their kids? I was in Disneyland when I saw a lady tie her kid's leash, with the kid on it, to light poles so she could go into a store. Me and friend walking to a hookah cafe. It has 2 ways to it, an upper and lower. And he says, why the hell do we always go the upper one? Let's check the lower street. We start going lower. And a person in front of us squats it in a cardboard box. Empties the box in the dumpster, puts the box under his arm, and just walks away casually. This lady who came into the liquor store I used to work at on 4th of July. Actually, it was the last day I was there. This lady came in. Around late 40s or 50s. She was completely beet red. In a see-through shirt and bikini. Not the most flattering look. She grabbed a 5th of Georgia from the fridge. She said, "Sorry, I've been drinking all day." Then this dude comes up behind her with another 5th of Georgia. And then she just keeps yelling at this poor dude. "Put it back or I'll duck your girlfriend." And it was at that moment that I realized I don't want to be back there as an employee ever again. At a supper club in rural WI, the teenage girl who was bartender was also drinking while working. While babysitting her son. It was about 9 PM and there was a fistful of townies hanging out and whatnot. Mama was smoking cigarettes and chatting while dancing her baby on the bar. At one point she leaned over and asked my friend if she could hold the baby for a hot minute while I go in the bathroom with Jimmy. This was really sad. I was riding the bus home and these two severely intoxicated adults were blabbering on and being obscene. They were talking loudly about being on drugs and they were groping each other. Everyone on the bus was just trying to ignore them. Then this voice rings out from the back of the bus and it's their young teen son. They didn't know he was on the bus and he had to witness this behavior, and I'm sure by the look on his face that he'd experienced this before. He pleaded with them to stop and they just doubled down. He looked like he was going to be in tears and he just got off the bus and left. I wanted to run after him and offer some kind of help, but there was nothing I could do. I hope that kid turned out okay. It was at night on St. Patrick's Day about 2-3 years ago. Some friends and I walked past a couple making out in the grass next to a busy intersection. 45 minutes later we're heading back the way we came and now these two drunken lovebirds are straight up ducking out in the open. Good times. I left a movie theater at 12:30 at night in a small town after watching Captain America: First One. I noticed there was two teenagers having sex against the back wall of the theater, where I had parked my car. Somehow, they didn't notice me and I took this opportunity to sneak to my car. Hook my phone up via the aux cable. Cue Lonely Islands I Just Had Sex and then turn on my brights, blast the music as loud as I could. The dude bolted with his pants still around his ankles and the girl tried to pull her shorts up and then scampered off into the night. I went home. Chuckling the whole way. I live in downtown New Orleans, just a 2-minute walk from Bourbon Street. So basically every time I go outside is the trashiest thing I've ever seen. A lady with her hand down her pants spitting on the floor of the train while talking loudly to someone with her phone on speaker. I saw a visibly pregnant girl throw down her cigarette to get in a fist fight at Taco Bell at 2 AM. A police officer broke it up. I was in the supermarket a while back and noticed this revolting dirty looking teenage chav with a huge cold sore and one hand down his pants the way some teen boys do. I think to myself, gross, and look away. Turn back and he's mauling the apples with his bowl sweat coated hand. Probably spreading crotch flakes. Herpes and stray pubes with his disgusting digits. Always wash the fruit first. I once saw a woman holding her baby above a garbage can while he was eating into it. Downtown in my city for 4th of July fireworks. I heard a trashy looking young woman screeching at her mom. "I'm 19, I can show my tits if I want." Walked past two people having sex at a glass tram stop in the middle of a road with full visibility in almost every direction. Invited my mum over to see my new apartment. Some lady in the street who was totally off her face and stumbling everywhere at 2 in the afternoon decided to yell abuse and racial slurs at us. My mum was a bit shaken, so I took her up to my place and pointed out what a lovely view of the park I have. We proceed to admire the view, and after a few seconds of watching a guy getting a blowjob in broad daylight, I decided to just make her a cup of tea. Walking to a diner after bar adventures at 2 AM. We take the shortcut down an alley and stumble upon a prostitute with one leg wedged up high on a dumpster while she relieves herself. It was like someone just tapped a fire hydrant. I said, "Rough night?" as we passed, and she said, "Sweetheart, you don't know the half of it. It still haunts my dreams, and that was at least 10 years ago." I was on my way to dinner with my aunt. It was roughly 5:30 in the afternoon, so the sun was still shining. We were driving down a populated road when I looked to my right. And on the sidewalk was a man. He was bent over, with his ass facing the road, taking a giant hit onto the sidewalk. I saw everything. Parts of a man no woman wants to see, along with this biggest piece of human it I have ever seen in my life. Needless to say, we never went to get dinner. In my tiny ass private Christian high school, I was part of the second graduating class. The first graduating class had 4 people, 3 girls and a boy. 2 of the girls were pregnant. I was at a Lollapalooza festival, I think 3rd, and walked by a crowd of people on the lawn that had a girl crowd surfing on them. There were about 150 people, men and women, and many of them were basically gang raping her with their hands, grabbing her tits, pussy, getting quick little finger ducks through the side of her shorts. All of it. From the faces she was making I couldn't tell if she was terrified or loving it. I soon got my answer. After she came down off the crowd that had another person or 2 surfing on it, she just stood there for a bit and then jumped right back up and the whole thing started over again. To this day I'm not sure how I feel about what I saw, but it definitely qualifies as trashy. I was at a Marshall's buying some clothes and this younger mom, couldn't be more than 25, and her 2 or 3-year-old daughter were near me. The daughter sneezes and the mom takes a t-shirt off the rack, wipes her nose with it, and puts it back on the rack. I let out an audible gasp cause that it is nasty. She pretends I am not there and walks away with her now cleaned up daughter. I walk up to the shirt they used and it has snot all over the front side of it. From that day on, I always washed any new clothes I bought. I worked at a mall in a ratty area and people were awful there. In this one store I worked at, this guy got a blowjob in the bathroom. Another time, someone ate in a jar and left it in a fitting room. A woman holding her little girl's skirts up, 2 or 3 years old, so she could have a wee directly in front of my living room window. I had to go stand in the kitchen until I was sure they'd moved on. There is a public toilet within sight of the house, approximately 20 m away. But no. This woman thought it was more appropriate to just let her daughter urinate in the middle of a well-used public walkway. Drunk girl couldn't find a toilet on Saturday night so proceeded to pee in her handbag. A woman with her man walked up to me near the beach asking for direction. Her face was covered in semen, I think. Well, yesterday I was at a University of Florida football game and saw a girl, who couldn't have been more than 17 or 18 years old, violently throwing up right off the sidewalk with her mom patting her back. Every so often she would stop throwing up and yell "Go Wildcats" and then would immediately throw up again. College football, baby. I was walking down the street when out of the corner of my eye I saw a lady kneeling further down the sidewalk. She saw me, got up and started walking in my direction. And as she passed she shot me a nasty look and yelled "I don't give a duck." I was confused until I passed by the place she was kneeling at and saw a small pile of it. Husband and I honeymooning on the French Riviera in Nice. We were sitting on a large rock formation watching the waves. Behind us is an overpass with large freshwater stream that flows into the Riviera. A very rotund middle-aged bald man casually strolls into the stream and surveys his surroundings. Think fatter, gross version of Kyle from Tenacious D. We were obviously in his field of vision, but he did not seem to mind. He then drops trow and takes a dump right there. He finishes, rinses his bum in the water and casually walks away. There were bathrooms not 50 meters away. Later I saw children playing in that same area. I did manage to get a photo of him going into the area. It isn't a great photo of him, but you can see where the incident occurred. Edit, spelling. Outside my favorite college bar I saw a couple each wearing matching Marlboro jackets. The female peeled and ate a banana whole. She then proceeded to blow her boyfriend in front of 10 or so onlookers, including the bouncer who merely asked them to take it around the corner. A pregnant woman putting out her cigarette on her kid's school bag whilst yelling "No way am I doing that ya dog" into the phone. My friend told me he was an insane Clown Posse fan once. Saw a dude picking cigarettes off the ground and trying to smoke whatever was left. At an amusement park, I saw a woman who was wearing a super thin wife beater. The kind where the sleeve holes are giant holes from the shoulder most of the way down the side. She was pendulous, and her nipples were very obviously somewhere down around her belly button. Worst side boob ever. Best comment of the day. When I was 17 I went to visit my elementary school teacher. Big butt light tan, jet black long haired Latina. She asked me what I did for my workouts while having a convo, and I showed her. She asked me to demonstrate. So I laid her down. She had tights on. I tell her about scissor kicks, where you open and close your legs in a horizontal motion. I grabbed both her legs and split it for her, and when I saw in between, I almost passed out. Being that young and seeing a groan in your face, you kinda get lightheaded.